The views expressed in this presentation are those of the host and guests and do not represent the views of any lodge, Grand Lodge, appended body, or any other person or persons whomsoever.
Brothers, we are at Refreshment.
I'll sit in the corner and look cool and be like, what up? That's me.
I don't want to talk about you either, Marty, but here we are.
Just because my style isn't death all the time.
I truly regret this already.
I regret this.
The 10 of year faithful press.
Oh man, it is great. I can feel this.
That's assuming anybody even watches the podcast.
The 5 minutes that I watched, I really did enjoy it.
Say it out loud.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome to the At Refreshment Masonic Video Podcast. I'm your host, Wesley Reuter. Let's meet everyone else real quick. Over to my right, we have...
Will Anfeld, Elmer's Lodge and Keystone Chapter.
Marty, far left.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I can go. All right. Marty, Villa Park Lodge, Shiloh Grotto, DuPage Council, and a bunch of other things. Keystone. I think I'm in the Eastern Star. I don't know. I'm in too many things. But damn glad to meet you. I love everybody at home.
What's up, everybody? Yoshi. Pretty much almost everything he's in, I'm into. So
We share a car.
Gas is expensive.
gas is expensive.
And our guest today, we have...
Patrick Robin.
Is that it? You don't want to...
I could expound.
Well, yeah, you're here for a high reason.
Maybe
I am currently the most excellent Grand High Priest for the Grand Chapter of Royal Archmasons of the State of Illinois.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I am too young to be an Eastern Star, so I'm not a member there. But I am a made member of Keystone Chapter, past High Priest.
He's a made member.
Keystone Chapter I was their first past High Priest. I'm the deputy, thrice illustrious at DuPage Council, and a whole bunch of other things that I get to hang out with these jokers with.
And you've got a fez that doesn't fit.
I do. I have a grotto fez from Shiloh that doesn't fit. I'm pretty sure if Aljala gave me a fez, it would fit. But anyway, here I am.
Officer, before we go any farther, though, when you look at Pat, do you ever think he kind of looks like Steve Carell from The Office, but like Steve Carell never got the job on The Office?
He looks like the Steve Carell that got stressed out was drinking at the office.
Well, actually, that's a pretty good segue. Most excellent Grand High Priest. What statewide positions would want to make you want to drink at the office?
So, you may recognize Pat from a previous episode. I think you were on episode 3 or 4, so it's been a couple of years.
And then he had a cameo from the unaired episode that we completely ruined.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brandon Ziers and your bagpipes. Thanks for ruining my equipment.
Well, what episode don't we ruin on
And
this?
thank God he did that, by the way.
True.
Yes.
Yeah, that episode was salvageable, and we put it up. I think we'd all be out of Masonry by now.
Yeah. You cannot get 50 Masons to agree on anything, but they will all agree that that episode was no good.
It was not.
No, that was not.
But we all
After
did
watching
agree.
that, it was no.
We all did agree you shouldn't do 3 episodes in one night
Yeah.
at a bar.
Yeah.
I think that's partly part of the issue.
Well, if we weren't drinking, but we don't drink as heavily as we once did.
Yeah, because things changed in the past 12
Yeah, I like how Marty's like, huh, what?
Marty has graduated from the pitcher.
Marty's
He
like,
used to
wait a
start with a
minute.
pitcher.
Oh, well, yeah, but the problem is by the time we got to the second episode, we're all slurring and the show was crap. I mean, we had to really slow down for production.
We were still learning.
It's true.
All right, we're still learning. It was,
We're still
we had to
learning.
do- Oh yeah, we are.
Well, no, and actually, a lot of the
I am
reason
definitely
we
still
kind of
learning.
cleaned up the show is people are like, well, all you guys do is drink and use profanity on the show. And I'm like, wow, what we're creating is deeper and more meaningful to the craft than that.
Well, it sure
So let's
seems
slow
like
it
it when
down.
we're doing it.
Yeah. So let's use PG-13 words and only have one drink an episode, and now you really can't criticize us anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
boy,
never
they
got
still
the one drink
criticize
of
us.
episode memo.
During what we did before the
boy.
episode was different.
That's all right. So, Pat,
Wes?
I can't remember what questions we asked you last time, but how did you get involved in Freemasonry?
In Freemasonry as a
Yeah,
whole?
and Freemasonry as a whole, because that journey is separate from being the
Oh
Yeah.
my God,
Grand High
Pat, can I
Priest.
tell the story?
No.
No.
Because I know your story, and I want to see how accurate I am.
We need to let the guests talk more often on this show.
Good point.
All right, how about if you fact check me on my story? And maybe it's the same one I told you, or maybe it's not. But anyway, basically, years ago, I used to work for.
He's like the Joker. He's got different origin stories.
I only have 4. But years ago, I used to work for a lottery company. We design and implement online lottery systems, big game, Keno, Powerball, etc. And the CEO of the company, I grew up in Rhode Island, it's a very small state. There is some truth that we're all related. And he wanted me to become a Freemason. And I said, no, I was 21, traveling the world on somebody else's dime. I'm like, I'm not going to meetings. Eventually, I have to go to meetings, but they'll be a different kind. So I didn't. Fast forward to many years later, I'd moved here to Chicago, or the Chicagoland area. Sitting in a hotel room in Boston, I was reading a Dan Brown book and watching the Red Sox on NESN, which is the New England Sports Network, for those that don't know.
I would watch the Red Sox on that.
A Ben Franklin commercial came on for the Grand Lodge in Massachusetts.
I mean,
and I'm sitting there
not those awful Benjamin Franklin.
I won't say it's awful.
Those videos are amazing.
Oh, give me a break, you know.
But I'm sitting there, I'm like, how weird is that I'm reading about this? And it's on the. So I went to their website. And this was long ago, so I couldn't pull up my Windows phone. I actually brought my laptop up and went to the website. And I put in my zip code, and it kicked me to the Grand Lodge of Illinois. And the Grand Lodge of Illinois kicked me to someone local. And the rest is probably history, whether it be good or bad.
What year was it?
This was back in 2009, so actually it wasn't that long ago.
Okay.
I didn't have.
And the Grand Lodge got back to you?
The Grand Lodge did not, but Jerusalem Temple Lodge number 90 did. So they forwarded the information to them. They got back to me. They had me come out to 3 dinners since nobody knew me to speak. And I was raised about a year later, give or take, because I did everything long form. Which is hysterical because I'm a horrible ritualist.
Oh my God.
But I did. You don't have to agree with everything I say.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I did do everything long form, including proving up in my 3rd degree. I did the proficiency long form, so I did. That's how. Did that check with the story that you know?
I was actually going to sub in a billboard, and not a TV commercial. And staying in the hotel room was more depressing in my story. But yeah, we're pretty much on the same plateau.
Yeah. I mean, technically, and it was Burlington, Massachusetts, not Boston. So it was actually a boring hotel room.
See, I thought the one was you were wearing the red hood, and then you fell into the vat of chemicals at Acme.
Wow. You're going deep cut there, Wes.
So that's funny that you mentioned that the Grand Lodge got a hold of you because it was 2008 when I applied online to be a Freemason, and they never got back to me.
Well,
and Herb Lindbergh was saying that they just started doing the internet thing.
In 2009, they had their stuff together.
Yeah,
It was funny because
it's pretty interesting.
I don't know.
I spent a year as a Grand Lodge officer. Super scary, but when you scrape the barrel, eventually you're going to hit the bottom. And Greg Clark asked me to be a Grand Steward in his 2nd year, and it was great. And it was, oh my God, I'm totally blanking.
It's all right.
Our deputy Grand Master.
A few moments later.
No, he was the past Grand Master. Michael Jackson's the current Grand Master.
Stewart?
Oh, you talking about Kurt?
Yeah, so
Dave Lynch.
Dave Lynch, thank you. Apologize, Dave, Right Worshipful, if you're watching this. We were officers together, and he actually remembered. He was the one that forwarded my information to the district that I then became a member of.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Nice, good. So, why? Well, now you're in Freemasonry. You've been going to the lodge. Got some things under your belt. Now you choose chapter. Why did you choose chapter?
I didn't choose chapter.
It chose you?
Apparently so. I was raised in January, and as soon as I was raised, I was given a petition to join the Shrine and to join the Scottish Rite. And I did, and for those that know, I was fairly active in both.
It's a normal thing for Illinois.
I was fairly active in both, and still active in the Shrine portion of it. But the Valley of Chicago decided to send me to a leadership convention in Lexington, Massachusetts, for a long weekend. And Alan Hubble, who at the time was the Right Excellent Grand King for the Grand Chapter, and a friend, we ended up traveling together because he was going for the same purpose. And I told him, I said, so we had a 2.5 hour flight, give or take, from Chicago to Boston. And I said, hey, I'm going to blow off the dinner tonight. And I rented a car because I'm going to go see my parents who live in Rhode Island. I said, I'm going to go meet my parents in Fall River, southeastern Mass. And he's like, yeah, I'll come with you. So not only did I have 2.5 hours on the airplane with him, we then had 2 hours in the car skipping the dinner. And the whole time, we didn't talk about the Scottish Rite at all. It was all about the York Rite. And I then, we had dinner, me and my dad, and then we had to drive back together because, well, I couldn't leave him there. And that would be not the brotherly thing to do. We get back, and then, so I got home, and there was a petition in my hand, and I joined the chapter. I came in at the joint Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin day, so I guess it's a tri-day, if you will. That was the first York Rite function at the new building in the Valley of Chicago.
Oh, it actually happened in Chicago.
It happened at the Valley of Chicago. And, that's how I joined the chapter.
Cool. So, should I? Yeah, I'll just ask this. So, why did you choose to get in the Grand Chapter line?
I don't think I did. I'm not even sure which camera to look at to make sure you can see that's a straight face. Again, Alan Hubble.
I know it wasn't Molly's idea.
No, that's a funny story behind that. Alan Hubble, when he was going in as Grand High Priest, said, it would be really great. When he was coming up, he asked me to be on a couple of committees as a younger York Rite Mason, as a younger Royal Arch Mason. I joined the chapter and council at the same time. Was not yet at that time a member of the commandery. And he had asked if I would be involved in some of his committees, and I said sure. And then he said, "Hey, how would you like to be my Grand Chaplain?" And I said, "Okay."
That sounds familiar.
So I did, and I did that for 2 years. When Bill Hussey came in, the expectation was that I was going to run for the bottom of the line. I talked to Jim Patton, and he said, "No, you should wait," and I did. So I was appointed for 2 years before I then stood for election. The funny story behind that is, so for those, you've referenced my wife, who's off camera, making sure I don't embarrass myself too much. We've known each other for over 30 years. I'm not allowed to say how much over, because I'm not allowed to say that she's closer to 50 than she is to 40 these days. And apparently you're not allowed to wake her up with that statement on her birthday. So put that out there. Juju.
That is some
true
very
story.
most excellent
True story.
advice.
And that was in the morning, so stone sober. But we're in Mexico, so the beach should. But anyway, I had a plan as to how I wanted to ask her to marry me. I knew when I wanted to do it. I knew where I wanted to do it. I knew how I wanted to do it. The problem is, I had to stand for election prior to this plan came into place. So before actually asking my wife to marry me, I first asked her permission to run for the Grand Line, and she said yes. And then 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, give or take, I then asked her to marry me appropriately, because I didn't want to rush it just because Grand Line. So she actually could have said no, because remember, she was moving. Well, those that don't know, she was moving from Boston to the Chicagoland area to be with me, because I guess the older you get, the less pickier you get. No, I'm sorry, honey. That was...
I never used to feel sorry for you until today.
But no, so I actually asked her permission, to make sure it was okay with her. She's moving here and knew what she was getting into before. But at the same time, I did close my company and take a job with the man, so I stopped traveling when she moved out here. So it was a compromise.
So when you decided to run for election, what was it that actually made you want to run?
I saw deficiencies. I was fortunate enough I'm a horrible ritualist. Be the first one to tell you that. And of course, the older I get, the harder it gets. I saw that when I really got to see behind the curtain when Alan Hubble was Grand High Priest, he actually used to invite all his elected and appointed officers to these meetings. You didn't have a vote, you didn't have a say, but you could actually see what was going on. And I saw deficiencies. I, ran a company for the lottery company as a CIO for a couple of years, but then I also owned my own company for 13, 14 years. So I saw some of these deficiencies that could potentially be changed, that maybe even though I'm a horrible ritualist, I might be able to add something to that. Because I did fall in love with the fraternity years ago, and I want to see it continue, grow, and prosper.
Right. It's a good thing that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of us, and I know I have, you get stuck. If you only do ritual, that's the only thing you can do. No, there are many things in the fraternity you can do that doesn't require ritual.
See, the problem with that is once everybody finds out that you do know ritual and you can do ritual, you get asked to do ritual over and over and over and over again. But,
and inundated with it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's at the same time, it's like I want a weekend to myself.
It is a bad thing because it takes up more time than you thought that you'd potentially be able to give. You have a wife and a child, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then you work full time. I mean, none of us at this table are retired.
No.
Right? Well,
One
most of us.
scratch-off ticket away. I tell myself that every day.
I mean, so and you know, some of us are newlier married than others. We're waiting for others to get married, but it's going to happen eventually. Jess, I'm putting good word in for you. You know, there's a lot of reasons that you have to split your time.
Yeah.
You know, and we learn in the fraternity that family comes first before anything else. Yep. You know, but you see a hole and you want to fix it. You want to help.
Oh yeah,
You
no,
know,
definitely.
and
That's
there
100%.
You know, people don't understand the cable tow as much as they should.
No, they don't. No, they
Pat, I just kind of wanted to ask a follow-up question to help kind of clarify what you said. So coming from the business background that you have, and we love hearing your old road stories about the cool jobs you've had, but the main things that you saw that you felt you could really aid in were the day-to-day operations, just running it closer to a business, or?
Yes. So Alan Hubble came out with a really cool plan where what I actually saw. So the problem I saw with the Grand Chapter was it got reinvented every year. Every time a new Grand High Priest took office, the Grand Chapter changed. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. And the reason I say that is not to say anything poor about any past Grand High Priest, but you'd have somebody that would come up with a phenomenal, I'm not supposed to say that word, a fantastic, it's going to be huge. We're going to make it great again. You come up, so somebody comes up with a great idea, right? And it works. But then the problem is, since there's no continuity in the line, the next guy takes office, and that gets thrown away because that guy then wants to put all their plans into place.
Yeah, I mean,
and you lose, obviously not everything sticks to the wall, so something should be put to the side and be like, yeah, we're not going to do that again. Or maybe we'll tweak it. But some of the ones that actually worked right out of the gate were then ignored. You know, Alan had this pillar plan, which is a very obviously management-led plan, and it was great. And then it kind of got put to the side. Jim Tome, when he was Grand High Priest, came up with a couple of really cool presentations to be done at Blue Lodges. You know, and they were great, and they got put to the side. And presiding over anybody, whether it be a local or a statewide body, you're driving a ship.
Dependability.
Well, no, you're driving a ship, right? You want to change the direction of that ship. You can't do a 180 in a boat.
It's a dependable ship.
It is a dependable ship, but you can't do a 180 in a boat without losing a bunch of passengers. True. Right? But let's look at it as a cruise ship where you can't do a 180. You can only set the path and then correct it by degrees each year. And they're minimal degrees to be able to do that. And I think that by eliminating things that were a good idea and then starting things from scratch every year in a 1-year term. It's a 2-year term. It might be a little different, but it's a 1-year term. You're actually resetting it back to zero, you know, and you're not gaining that full steam momentum.
I'm sure a lot of things were literally just picking up by the time they were discontinued to a certain degree.
Exactly, because you're not ready day one to drop everything.
Yeah.
Drop everything means make it live, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that's no different than being in the East than anybody. I mean, you've got 1 year in your lodge or your chapter. You can hit the ground running. You can do all this great stuff. You can have the most amazing year ever, and then the minute you're out and the new guy comes in, the new guy coming in gets to go, that's cool, all that stuff that you just did?
Yep.
Here's my stuff.
But kind of weird, and just to kind of go off that, I could delve in deeper with you. So we all know that people like to rely on certain things. They like to know how things work, and long-term plans are usually the best plans within this fraternity. I'm going to ask you this in a weird question, on like a ratio. So on a scale of 100%, how much artistic freedom do you think someone in a role like yours is allowed to make their year their own while still respecting the programs? Do you get
100%?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good.
So
that's
I
awesome.
will say artistic freedom, 100%. Okay. That's very different than changing everything. So I, as a Grand High Priest, am going to try to do this. Well, if you become Grand High Priest next year, no, it won't happen. We know. You'll still get the good parking spots. But, Charles, when he becomes Grand High Priest, he's not going to commit to doing what I did, but what his, hopefully, activities and programs are going to be going towards the goals that we all agreed upon that should be reached. So that's where the artistic creativity comes in. It's not about, So we all know that when you're a member of a fraternity, there's two big things. It's membership and finance, right? Those are the two big things that you have to worry about. So in reality, in a statewide body, in the Grand Chapter, it's really membership is the biggest one, because finance will fall into play because it's based on per capita, exaltation fees, etc., on membership.
As long as your chapter's not doing something catastrophically criminal, your finances are going to be fine as long as you're bringing people in.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, and then wouldn't it be more advantageous for the Grand Line, let's just say, to build upon, as us being Masons, we build ourselves and build a program, wouldn't it be more advantageous to build or expound upon previous plans as well as going with your own plan?
100%, and that was a voice off the camera.
I'm on a camera.
Oh, you are?
I'm on a camera.
That was the one that was broken.
I'm on the busted phone.
I didn't realize. I'm sorry.
Busted phone. That thing is new. Give me a. Now you're getting cut out.
That camera is off.
Man, I was gonna buy a new camera for you too. And
I thought you were gonna be like the wizard, just the voice from. So you're 100% correct, right? So a great example of this, the Grand Chapter, is we decided on a 10% program. The Grand Chapter of the state of Illinois should be 10% membership size of the Grand Lodge of Illinois, right? That's a great goal. It's a floating goal, right? It's based on people that are raised, people that are exalted, people that die, and it goes up and down.
Yeah.
And we know that where we're at, we were about, when we came up with this, we were about 1,500 to 1,600 off, right? For the Grand Chapter. Or 1,500 to 1,600 deaths in the Grand Lodge. But we were just really hoping more for gains than losses. But we're 1,500 to 1,600 off. So we came up with this 10% program, knowing we're not going to exalt 1,500, 1,600 companions in 1 year. Now, if you can, fantastic. You've got till July 28th. I'd love to see it happen. I'm all for it. I will be at any exaltations that you have if you can guarantee me that number. But it's a 5-year plan. So this is something that your Grand Officer's committed to. Now, I've got certain things in place. We have one that is engrossing of those 5 years. But what Charles is going to look at as he's now building his plan is to see what we did that worked and what we did that didn't. He's hopefully going to take what we did that didn't and throw it out or tweak it to make sure that it works.
Yeah.
And then what that did work, hopefully he keeps it over, right? And so that's where that artistic license comes in. Let's face it, I'm a super acquired taste. The fact that I made it through 8 elections from the floor and made it to become the most excellent Grand High Priest is astounding.
And I think a few of those elections you were begging people to not vote for you.
The last one, actually. I actually was hiring buses for people to come down to vote against me. It didn't work out, but we try and we learn. And if it doesn't work, we have to look at it. But those goals shouldn't change. That's the course that we've set, how we get there, and what storms. COVID is a perfect example of a storm where we had to go around that iceberg, right? To make sure we didn't hit it and still function and still survive.
Did you have a question?
No.
I mean, I myself am part of that 10%.
You are?
I am.
Yeah. He got the 10% coin.
I
did
did.
not get the 10% coin.
I did. I've even etched my
You
mark
better not.
on my
You're a
coin
Grand Chapter
already.
Officer, my friend.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that grand.
We missed the 300 coin too.
We did. We missed the
We have
300.
missed every
yeah,
good
every
Grand
like
Chapter
yeah.
program.
I was under the
don't have
impression
that
you would
coin
actually
here.
buy the 300 coin on eBay. Those were up for sale.
Oh,
And it was a pin, not a coin. But yes, those were up for sale.
Didn't know.
Okay. Might want to edit that one out. But.
All right. No.
No, they were.
I'm
kidding,
going to
it's
put
true.
that really loud,
It's
so
a
don't
true
worry
story.
about it.
They were on eBay.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to have to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back.
Five, 4, 3.
And we're back. All right. Will, you had a question you wanted to get off your chest?
Yeah, so I couldn't help but notice you put your lovely wife out on blast for being of the ripe age of 33. Out of curiosity,
Same age as Jesus when he died.
out of curiosity, how has she put up with you being in the Grand Line so gracefully for this long?
She has put up with it. I'm not sure about gracefully. No, she is my biggest supporter and my biggest critic. And in reality, that's what I need. I am an acquired taste. I have a.
Ain't that the truth?
I have a very hard time being a New Englander of filtering myself. For those of you that were at my reception, apparently I do hold a record as the first Grand Presiding Officer in the state of Illinois to purposefully drop the F-bomb on the microphone.
I was there. That was
I was there. Yeah, we were all there. We're all like mid-drink, and we're like, oh.
To the point that when Molly and I went down for Most Worshipful Jackson's reception, I was told by a couple of Grand Lodge officers that I was not going to be given a minute to speak.
Got a little wise counseling of it.
Well, it was also, in their defense, it also was an open bar there in the middle of nowhere. So it was probably a good idea they didn't.
Yeah, that was
right. That totally makes sense.
It was my reception, and the story behind it was I'd written the speech, and my wife had helped me edit it. And I won't go through the whole story, but I started to give it, and I looked over. My father was there, right? And my parents came out, and my dad's not a Mason, and he knew nothing about Masonry, but really felt the love that I was feeling through this whole thing, and was super proud of me. And he was crying a little bit. And my dad worked three jobs when I was a kid, but still had time to be a Boy Scout leader, coach our baseball, coach our basketball team. I have a great childhood. I probably should have gotten beaten more, but I didn't, right? So I don't have that serial killer story to tell.
That was on my grand chapter suggestion card.
Right, it was. So I look over and I saw my dad crying, and that was it. Like I was going to lose it. So I had two options, and that was I was going to cry,
lose it, or swear,
or go blue. Because being in past professions, going blue was not an issue for me. So blue it was, and so she has put up with it really well. She knows that when I ask her to go somewhere, she'll say, "Is it would you like me there, or do you need me there?" Right,
and those are two separate things.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would always like her there, 100%.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that no, hon, it's a degree day. There's no need for you to sit in the lobby for 6 hours while we do this, or so on and so forth. But she knows if I say, honey, I really need you there as my wife and as the first lady of the Grand Chapter, that'd be great. And she has wholeheartedly been into it. Even my 16-year-old daughter, when I was...
your daughter's the best.
She is. When I was elected and installed last July, the last thing she wanted to do on her summer break was to come to Bloomington Normal and,
yeah, right.
and be there for 3 or 4 days. But she was a trooper, man, and she did. And she put my jewel on me. And
hey, that's why they have
Wi-Fi
Wi-Fi in the rooms. That's
right,
awesome.
exactly.
So if I remember Grand Chapter, didn't your daughter spend most of the time looking after Barry Weir's dogs?
Yes, she did. And
Barry, you got some great dogs,
and
buddy. You and your wife, love you both.
She was great with that. Crystal didn't have to worry about it. Barry didn't have to worry about it. And Hannah did it, and it was great. But when I told my daughter, hey, look, because she's also been there. It's been a 9-year journey.
Oh yeah.
She's been there since the beginning, and it was, without the support that I have at home from my wife and daughter, I would not be able to be as, I won't say successful yet, because there's still time will tell on that, but I would not be as active as I am today without their support.
Can I pay a quick compliment to your wife before we get back to talking about you?
Absolutely.
As a Mason whose wife comes with him to a lot of stuff, now this Yoshi falls to this. Will, you bring your girlfriend to a lot of things. Molly, I think in a weird way, and I don't think I've ever said this to Molly, I don't think I've ever said this publicly, but I know it to be fact. I think a lot of our wives look up to her in a way, maybe look to her to see in the role she's in, next to some of the highest leadership in the state, of how she handles and carries herself. And I'll be honest, the way your wife walks into a room and deals with everybody, there's an elegance she has. She pretty much makes Princess Diana look like Courtney Love.
Well, there goes my knighthood from Queen Elizabeth. Probably that's not coming through. I was really hoping. But,
Molly, before I edit this, do you want to do, commentary?
No, but you know, like honestly, I get what Marty's trying to say. You know, it's very true, Molly. It really is. And with,
I like it. Like, let me try to explain to you what my lowbrow friend is trying to say.
What he's trying to say. But no, what I'm trying to get at is, you know, honestly, a lot of us are lucky. Okay, because Masonry takes up so much time out of our lives.
You mean it's not 1 week a month?
No, it's not one day a week, a month.
One day a month, boys.
You know, like our wives, our girlfriends, our children. You know, they're very supportive, and it's we couldn't be luckier, to be honest with you. You know, without them, you know, supporting us, they'd just be resentful for what we do.
And we would,
you know,
because
yeah, we will. Oh yeah, you know, happy life, happy wife, right?
You got it.
You know, but I mean, you know, my daughter has told me plenty of times how cool it is how cool she thinks it is that, you know, I do what I do. You know, and I'm not even at the level that you are.
Oh,
you know, I could be. You know, maybe one day, but you know, well, at least you know too. You're lucky. She has yet to put my hat on me for any of the things.
Look at
for any of the
Marty.
things,
One
like
day
she
he
was
just
like, no, I don't want
knocking
to do
on
it.
doors, and now he gets pushed up.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, we got to talk about that too.
Not yet.
Yeah, but you know what though? But honestly, you know, with what we're saying, you know, going along with it, you know, what advice would you give to other married brothers, you know, who want to get into the Grand Line, you know, like to do something that, you know,
I would
time consuming. There we go. I was blanking for a minute, you know.
You know, I think. Thank you. I think I don't even know what this is.
Don't worry, you'll like it. You'll like it.
It's alcohol. You're gonna love it.
Thank you so much.
Pat, it looks red and ready.
It looks like a COVID sample. I'm not sure. But I would honestly say, keep them in the loop. Let them know what really is involved. Let them know what is expected of you, and what you would like to see of them. And I think that if you do that and there are no surprises, and he or she is good with that, you will go a long way. And again, happy wife, happy life. If things are happy at home, things will be better outside.
Yeah.
And as a fraternity, family comes first,
Yeah.
right? Family,
Yeah.
work, God, rest, right? I mean, we all know the rules.
Yeah.
You know, if you try to become a career Mason and don't include your better half, you know, it's going to be a lonely career. You know, I know guys that have done it, and I know guys that their wives just are like, "Hey, man, it's your thing. You do you." They're supportive at home, but they don't necessarily want to be there. You know,
Yeah.
but that's okay because that's their choice.
Some Masons don't want to be there
Right,
themselves.
but that's okay though because that's their choice, right?
Yeah.
So if your wife is still supportive, whether it be at home or at the functions, you're okay. But it's really the whole thing is, and I can't say it's not about the wife's expectation or the girlfriend's expectation or the fiance's expectation. When you can get him to say yes, he did. So I don't know why you can't. But anyway. Is to be on it, find out for yourself first what's involved, and then tell them. There are so many people that say, I want to do this, I want this office, I want this position, and don't necessarily know what actually is involved. You have to remember, being the Grand High Priest of Illinois has been fantastic, but the furthest chapter away from my house is 6.5 hours away. So when I go to visit them, and I did.
That's equality?
Equality in Murfreesboro, there's kind of two right there. So I fortunately was able to do 2 in one trip. But that's 3 nights in a hotel, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, honey, I'm going to go to lodge or chapter or council or commandery an extra night. It's like, hey, I'm going to be gone for 3 nights. You know, and she's not going to come with me because what is she going to do while I'm in a meeting, which is just a regular stated meeting, right? There's not a function or anything of that nature.
Oh, probably set him straight like you do this guy, right?
So I went and did, but I was able to do that, and she knew what was, because I knew what was coming up, because I've been fortunate to be mentored well by people that were from Alan Hubble on up, plus people like Greg Clem, Jim Stoner, and Bob Wright, and those people that I wasn't necessarily involved with then. But there's, well, not Jim anymore, God rest his soul, but, we had talked years ago about what was, involved and what, how do you do it correctly. So I think that's the best answer.
Did you have a question? I thought I saw you go. Oh, like you were going to answer. Oh, okay.
Actually, with what you just said, though, it is interesting. Our last episode, not that maybe came out, but that was shot, or I forget. But we're talking about the Intender program. Realistically, that goes way past those 3 books to the point where you're saying you're still getting intended now, and I'm assuming there's still going to be someone in a past role that's going to be giving you some advice of what now.
Absolutely. I have been super fortunate. Greg Clem, Alan Hubble, Jerry Starks, Barry Weir have been great mentors to me and continue to be to this day. It is, just because I'm Grand High Priest now doesn't mean Jim Patton's another one. I don't know the answer to all questions. So when oddball things pop up, if I know what I want to do right away, right? My decisions don't take long to make. But I'm like, whoa, is this legal? Can I do this without facing...
It has to start with that.
Well, legal. I mean, legal in the sense of constitutional.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get arrested for it.
Sure. Oh, all right, yeah.
Not yet. That hasn't come up. There's been no drive-bys or anything like that.
You're not convincing me otherwise.
But, to do that. So I'll reach out to those guys, and our opinions sometimes do vary. Barry Weir is the most important one. Of course, being a past Grand Master, also my current Grand Secretary. So he will say the Constitution bylaws say you can, and that's all I need to hear. I'm like, okay, then I will. I don't listen to them. But, I think, having a...
Wow, that's so great, Commander of you.
He's like, you can, done, gavel. And he yells at me because I'm like, I need you to write me an edict. He's like, you don't write edicts. I'm like, yes, I do. Because Will said, you should become a dictator. And I watched a Netflix documentary about it. And that's what I should do. He goes, you write dispensations. I'm like, what's the difference? He goes, well, it sounds nicer. I'm like, but it's the same thing.
I feel like at a certain point, Barry probably should have told you shouldn't be getting your Grand High Priest advice from Will.
I know. Yeah, mentors and intenders are really for your entire journey. That journey from becoming a rough Ashlar to a perfect Ashlar, but we never become that perfect Ashlar.
No. Well, I'm screwed because my mentor's Marty.
My mentor's Pat.
You both
and
screwed.
Jay from the Triangle.
Listen.
Flows downhill. Sorry.
What was that 180 thing you were talking about?
Mentors always need a mentor. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And that's how it is. It really is.
Your psychiatrist sees a
He's a
psychiatrist.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of,
I mean,
Do they get a courtesy discount? Psychiatrist seeing another psychiatrist.
Punch card.
So, okay.
Oh, that'd be funny. You get a free sub eventually.
yeah, so Pat, kind of on the topic of mentoring, you've got 3 past high priests at the table with you. Say either one of these 3 guys want to run for election to get into the Grand Line. What advice would you give them?
These 3 guys?
You can talk to them. We've already had this conversation.
So it's funny you mentioned that because, I'm trying to be nice and delicate, but all 4 of these guys at the table are actually part of my Grand Line. Yoshi is, Gabriel Sanchez is, that's his real name.
I gotta bleep that out.
It's all right. We changed his name to protect him.
It's cool guy.
They still find him on Facebook.
I know, they still do. They still find me.
He lives on Ardmore. No, he doesn't. Ardmore's a street we're on. No, we're on St. Charles. He's my Grand Sentinel. Marty was one of my Grand Sentinels, but has been promoted to a district deputy. You are my Grand Orator, and Will is on my Education Committee. For the first time now on this podcast, they have to be nice.
That's a low.
I wish I had my pair of scissors up here and their dues cards on the table just in case.
I got
that
you want it?
It's
in the car. It will save you a bunch of money.
But if you guys wanted to run, or if anybody wanted to run, not even you guys, I would simply say before you decide to do it, talk to an elected Grand Officer.
That's not you.
Find out. No, talk to me because I'll be very honest. Find out what's actually expected. There's a cost of leadership, man.
Oh, yeah, there
you're
is.
a church going, man. It's 3 T's: time, treasure, and talent. Right? That's what I was raised Catholic, and that's what they always said: 3 T's: time, treasure, and talent.
Yep.
But also, when I was Catholic, they used to make us sell these kits, these little cardboard boxes that we would walk around and have to go to strangers' doors and sell these things.
Oh, so the Pat Robin $20 special
Different story.
Oh, so that explains a lot.
Origin story of Pat hawking his wares.
The best person, by the way, that can explain that is Mike Birbiglia, who's a comedian from Boston, who went to Catholic school and has a historical explanation. I mean, hysterical. A historical.
Historically, it's the same thing.
It is a presentation about these kits that we had to sell in New England as Catholic schoolboys. But anyway, so I would say talk to a Grand Officer, see what's involved. talk to your better half to let them know what's involved. And then if you really want to run, it's not supposed to be a popularity contest. Nobody can campaign. I can't say, oh my goodness, you should vote for Wes. Because they'd know I'd be lying. But whatever, you can't say that, right? I mean, or I also on the same token, I can't say, oh my God, don't vote for Yoshi, right? You know, I am out of it, right? All the elected officers, nobody should be doing that. So if you really want people to know you, you should no.
I'm not saying campaign, but
if you really want to be known, you show up to Grand Chapter Days. You show up to festivals. Yeah. You show up to different chapters in your area.
You're campaigning, but not campaigning.
Exactly.
You're letting people know, hey, this is me. I'm here. What can I do to help?
Yeah, you're marketing yourself.
No, then that's how it should be. You know, when you want to do something, you want to, you know, but you need to make yourself known because you just can't pop up and be like, hey, I want to run for this, and everyone's like, who is this guy?
And we've seen, I've seen it.
Yeah.
So in a weird, by going to everything, you know, being nice, putting in the work, you're almost building a public resume.
Yes.
Or when you stand up there, I'm like, you know what? Because you guy's everywhere.
When you stand up, you don't get a chance to give your resume.
No, you don't.
So it is what you've done, and it's super important who nominates you. It really is important because
I have heard that. Yes,
because
I have heard that.
You know, those people that decide, you know, I want to do this, right? So they go and they do things, and they try to go to as many things as they can. But again, 6.5 hours away might not be your cup of tea or even be available to do that. You need somebody to nominate you that you'll have half the room that says, oh, I know Marty. But the other half says, well, I know Rick, since there's no Rick that I know of that would nominate you. But I was going to say other names, but all common names are all past.
Leave them out to say cut.
Oh, here's Rick. I don't know Marty, but I know Rick. And if Rick says he's a good guy, then he'll get my vote.
It's
right?
like as
He's a good fellow.
Yeah.
Right.
But that even goes to the degree when you're going to the stations.
He's a friend of ours.
You know, when you're getting your lodge degrees, who vouches for this?
Right.
A brother.
Yeah.
And then you know he's good. That's brought it up right there.
It's like as Pat Robin, you can't campaign for somebody, but Pat Robin can give somebody the Pat Robin vote of approval when I stand up and say I'm nominating Yoshi for X, Y, and Z.
I can't do that today.
Yeah.
No.
Only because I would be running the election.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
No, yeah, that's
I'm not allowed. And our election's going to be a little funky this year. So I've actually ordered my officers. Anybody with a collar and a jewel is not allowed to nominate anybody because it's. We're
really? Because I don't have a collar. I was given an apron.
You've got an office, so you can't nominate anybody. Plus, who are you going to nominate? Who's going to listen to you? He's like, oh my God, the gimpy guy from the north said what?
The hundreds of followers and listeners we have.
Wait, hold on. 9,000 people on iHeartRadio. I don't know who is listening to us on iHeartRadio. Please reach out to us.
Yeah. Call this guy and tell him I want to nominate Wes. So, speaking of that, what in God's name possessed you to put us into your grand chapter line?
Yeah.
The water's that shallow, Pat?
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it earlier.
Don't tell me it's because of Mormonism and this and that. I want a real why.
When you scrape the barrel, you eventually hit the bottom.
That's where the
I'd
best
like to
whiskey
introduce you to the bottom of the whiskey barrel here in Illinois.
I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I send him good morning, most excellent text messages, and then he just
every morning.
Things,
I didn't even know him.
Yeah.
I didn't even know him. We met on Match.com.
Yep.
Did you guys accept right away, or did you guys have to think about it?
Oh my goodness! No, you were the. You
might be excellent.
You were the only. You were the only little when it came to that.
I think
you were the only little.
I think what the most excellent is trying to say
I am
is Wesley Reuter is a man of esteemed integrity and wanted to be romance.
He wanted to know, do they serve anything good at any of these dinners I have to go to? Because I'm watching my figure.
Yeah.
These were the questions that I got from Wes.
No, so he calls me up. He's like, hey, I got a question for you. Oh, what is it? I can't talk right now. I've been drinking. Let me call you later. So I call him later.
Oh, it's him that's been drinking.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one. I'm
sure you were drinking too, but that's neither here nor there. I want you to be my chaplain. No. What? I really want.
I didn't ask you chaplain order.
You asked me to be chaplain first. See, you were drinking that day, obviously.
No, it was chaplain first.
Yeah, because I'm like, no, I just, things going on with my daughter and stuff. I didn't want to be downstate in case something happens. I just didn't really want to do it, and I just really had no interest in being Grand Line. But then you called me up with this great alternative.
He invented a position for you.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. But he reinstated it just for me. And yet, I haven't been able to speak on his behalf yet.
Well, there was one time when you were my host.
Yeah, you still kind of did that.
You were the host of this.
You
know
what though? I'll tell you though. When you called me up and asked me, I was like, "What the hell?" I was shocked. I was honored.
So there's 31 positions in the Grand Chapter, counting myself. 13 of them are district deputies, leaving 17, not counting me, of which 8 or 9 are appointed. We had discussed, me and my officers, as part of long-term planning, that we were going to treat the Valesmen, which are 3 appointed officers, as part of the advancing line, and we really worked hard for the past couple of years, and these guys have now been in there for 2 years. But there are certain offices, chaplain, order, sentinels, that you give to your friends and people that you think highly of that have done a great deal for the fraternity as a whole. It gives you a grand office. Gives you some visibility if it's something you decide to do later on down the road. But more importantly, I hope, and the way it should come out, it was a thank you from me to you for doing what you do and continue to do with your local chapters, councils, commanderies, and the fraternity as a whole. That really, it breaks my heart to be honest about this and say I love these guys on camera, and now it's recorded, and this will probably be the loop that they play at my funeral. I love these guys, it's now recorded. I love these guys, it's now recorded.
The eulogy will be Pat Robin at Refreshment guest. Nothing more.
But that and those are things but we've also decided, not just myself, but starting with Tim Weiss and myself, Charles and Ryan moving forward, that we invite all the appointed officers to our meetings. They don't get a vote, they don't get a say. But if you guys then decide, something I want to do, at least you're getting to see behind the curtain and say this is something for you. Going back to that original question, if once you understand the requirements, then you can tell your better half what the requirements are and try to make them happen.
Yeah. But honestly, like I said, when you first called me and asked me, I was like, whoa, I was shocked about it. And then you went in, you shed some kind words upon me, and I was humbled and honored that you asked me. And I know I speak for the rest of the guys here.
Well, that's not true. When you first called him, I was pissed you called him before you called me.
He was.
So let's face it.
He was.
I had 2 doors. I had an outer door and an inner door, and I needed the biggest guy for the outer door. So I had to get the outer door covered first. I'm just saying.
But for real, honestly, I know I speak for the rest of the guys that it's been an honor and a privilege.
Well, I appreciate it. And you guys have been super supportive. You continue to be. And, of course, we come from the same home chapter and the same council now. And other than Wes, but we can get him to join.
Oh, he's in the council, isn't it, Patrick?
Did you join the page?
Yeah.
Look at you.
Because I gave my word that I would do it to help jumpstart.
Yeah, much like your experience with trying to get him to the Grand Line. We tried to put him in the line at the old.
Did he whine like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh no. Oh yeah.
I was like, why don't they put Midolls in that prescription? Like, it was bad. He was whining. He was like, oh. I called Marty. I'm like, is Wes always like that? He's like, oh, dude, it's the 28th. Yeah.
Oh, that is a crescent moon? Yeah.
No. These guys, they're like, when should be in the council line? It will be a district deputy. I'm just like, no.
We tried to make you Sentinel.
I also just tried to make him the publisher of the High 12 magazine, he said.
Well, that's work, though.
That is work.
That is work.
Wait. I am the Sentinel.
Wait, it's a work? You get paid for it? Why did you take
Yoshi's like, I won't be a publisher.
No. But dude, I mean, that would.
Calgon, take me away.
Wow, bringing it back.
Isn't this your show?
People?
Yes, it is.
I know how Rowdo
No,
felt.
okay, real quick. No, I'm the Sentinel at DuPage Council.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
I don't think so.
Well, the last time I was there, they said, Wes, do you want to do it? I said,
Yeah, and then
I'll
you
do
freaked out, and then I think we made Juan Gutierrez that.
No, you made Juan the chaplain.
So you have a.
You were supposed to make me the chaplain.
So you-
I said doing that was fine.
You
but
have a
then
proven
guys
track
screwed it
record
up.
of losing your mind when people ask you to be chaplain, huh?
Hey, you know what?
Wow.
Here, wait. You know what? Pause that for a minute, okay? And let's come back for a third segment.
The audience needs to know the truth because these guys are a bunch of liars.
Look,
Hey, that's $10 in a swear jar.
Look, while they hash this out,
good luck with
we're gonna take a break and we'll be back, okay? So see you in a
With
little
some
bit.
closing thoughts.
Right back.
We march through the valley of the dead just to see who we are. We start from the bottom of the ashes just to rise to the stars. So you come on, think hard. You gotta live before you learn. Life is nothing but terms. So keep on. Better watch, cause some suckers coming.
All right, everyone, we're back to tell the truth about my story here in DuPage Council. So, what it was is originally.
Nobody wants to hear your story.
Yes, they do.
Most excellent. I know we've struggled to get you on the show, but I'd just like to apologize for Wes hijacking your episode.
Apologize for letting
Yeah,
go on
in
the show,
the last little bit.
So, no,
They wouldn't even let me refill my drink. We
the-
had to come back from
the
break.
only DuPage Council meeting I was at is the only one that we had. When we had degrees.
That's not true. We've actually had 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, the one online.
Man, the
That
truth-
doesn't
the
count.
truth
It's-
is finally-
it does count.
So, anyways,
The truth is coming
so
out.
you guys said, "Will you do chaplain?" Yes, but when it came time, somebody else's name was called to be chaplain. I'm not going to argue about it. And then my name was called to be sentinel. I'm like, sure, I'll stay out here. I don't want to listen to you guys all day, anyways. So, and now you're telling me I'm not sentinel. Great. So I don't have to wake up early and go to DuPage Council.
Oh my
right?
God.
I feel
Perfect.
as most
Perfect.
excellent Grand High Priest.
That is
I
the most
should-
West response.
I think we should just serenity now, boys.
I am
companions. Let's get back to. Let's talk about some more important things, and let's talk about me just a little bit more before.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. We're no shout outs now.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
I've got,
All right, he's got a serious
I'm
question.
kidding. No,
I've got-
No, you're not.
I've
You're
got
lying.
one question
Take
for
a
you,
shit.
Pat, as you try to flex the most excellent muscle on us and make us listen to you. You know, what's
doesn't
gonna-
work at home either.
No, it doesn't. What's going to happen come, what is it, August 1st or August 3rd, when you wake up and you're no longer the most excellent, you're the past excellent, and you are just relegated to the sidelines and you got no power?
Sounds like a vacation. Well, I think that I've made enough friends that I will get a couple of phone calls on August 1st. It is technically. I go out of the office on Thursday, July 27th or 28th. I don't remember off the top of my head. But ceremoniously keep it till Monday, August 1st. Only because that way when I go to Grand Council, Grand Commander, I'm still a Grand High Priest at that time and introduce the officers, etc. That's really all I do. I have no power, no nothing. It's just ceremonial at that point. I think that hopefully I have
So
enough
nothing
friends.
different compared to now.
Wow.
And we just slaughtered Charlie.
You wouldn't be the first this year. I'm on a roll.
This
Honey,
show-
get the scissors.
This show is no longer sponsored by the Grand Chapter?
I think I have enough friends and companions, I hope, that'll reach out and say they miss me. Charles is going to be a great Grand High Priest. We've been, one of the things that I'm super happy about, I'm the first Grand High Priest in many years that's actually sat for election and sat through all the chairs from Royal Large Captain up through.
That's impressive.
Only because, well, it's not. It's just because nobody died to quit in front of me. So it really has nothing to do with me. It's just that everybody in front of me stuck to it and then didn't die. But what that also means, though, is that myself, Charles, and Ryan have actually worked together because they've done the same behind me, right? So we've actually worked together longer than any other deputy and their king has worked together. We've got a great relationship. I've got nothing but faith. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be going back and working more with my wife and I are going to be working more with the RMCF when I go out. I will be one of those past Grand High Priests that's going to be there and be active and available for their help. I will not be the Grand Secretary. I would like that. I will not be the Grand Secretary. Could you please record that and give me that snippet so I could play it at Grand Sessions?
Wait, stop for a second. Can you say will?
I will not be the Grand Secretary.
Let's say one of those Billy Banks commercials, 1995, 1795, and then you just cut it as need be. But no, I will not be the Grand Secretary, but I will help with all those things going on. I was asked at one point, so Patrick, after the Grand Chapter line, what line is next? And at that particular point when asked, I'm like, the sideline seems really good. Anyway, so I hope that answers your question. And Will, I hope you still return my calls when I'm no longer a Grand High Priest.
I hope you will reply to my text messages when I text you every morning. Good morning, past most excellent.
I absolutely will.
Awesome.
It's adorable.
Isn't it?
It's adorable.
All right.
I do have something I want to say. To kind of close this out. First and foremost, Pat, I do have one question for you I'd like you to answer truthfully. At one time, did Wes lose one of your house pets when he was house watching your house?
Actually, we did think he did, yes. My wife and I came home. Wes does watch my house. You would think that's a Grand High
This is
Priest.
totally getting cut out.
Is that the reason you demoted him at DuPage
You
Council?
would think that's a Grand High Priest role, but I actually do pay him for that. He does a great job, normally. But one trip, we came home, and we do have 2 cats. And
You're definitely doing commentary over this now.
The black cat, Wolfie, is a fan of mine because, well, that's why I have luck. He's always in my path every day. And we come home from trip, and he's not there. And I'm like,
of course I wasn't there. I told you I was going home.
well, I knew you weren't there. Thank God. That'd be super creepy because first thing I do is I drop my pants when I get home. I'm like, oh, I'm home. But
It's funny. I do that when I go into your house when you guys are gone.
right. And that's why we have the furniture steam clean. But so we can't.
Well, why the furniture? I never really said that.
It's like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and it's a black cat, right?
Yeah.
So my wife, we unpack. She takes a shower. She's like, I can't find Wolfie. I'm like, yeah, it's weird. So she's like, I'm gonna go look outside. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, good luck. We don't have a fence, right? So she takes a flashlight, and she's in her nightgown, which is a sexy nightgown. It's not like the Ebenezer Scrooge nightgown with a hat. It's a sexy nightgown, And she's looking for the cat, and I'm trying to laugh, but not laugh because I'm like, that's my cat. But she looks super sexy looking through the neighbor's fence. And the thing, I'm just like,
she's looking for the cat with a flashlight. Here's Robin flashing her, trying to look through her nightgown.
So we're looking around the house. And again, I can't. So I text Wes. Have you? And then he's like, I'm on my way. I'm like, dude, you're crippled and can't see at night. How are you going to help us find a black cat at midnight? He's like, no, I'm on my way. I'm like, you don't have to wait. And then come to find out, fortunately, because he's a little slower going down the stairs, the cat had gotten into the garage.
I love it. Slower going down the stairs. It's 2 freaking steps. I walk outside because I didn't think I had to close the door because the cat's afraid of the door anyways. But yet, that day, he decided he was going to regrow his nuts. And
the cat was forced in the
and
garage.
go outside.
And the cat was forced in the garage. So we got the cat back. And I texted him, we're good. All that's fine. And the cat was not damaged, destroyed, or whatever. And, it is what it is. It's a cat, I mean, it's Peking duck or General Tso's chicken in certain neighborhoods. It was a cat. And the cat was fine. Well, then we go and he watches the house for the last time.
And you're missing silverware.
And we come back and I didn't say anything to him. Right?
So now I'm just hearing about this?
Well, no, we come home and everything was fine. So I don't, of course I paid him. I said thank you, whatever. We come home and then he texts me the next day. He's like, hey, I didn't hear from you. Is everything okay? I'm like, well, by that, cats are here. Like, I'm thinking, everything was great. No dead fish. The cats were there. The dog was there. I didn't think that I needed, but I will stroke your ego next time and say everything was fine, honey.
Okay. I was not thinking about the cat. I was thinking like, I haven't heard from Pat or Molly. I hope their flight made it back.
Oh, was everything?
Yeah.
It came out like, you guys love me.
I don't know.
Okay.
I do not watch TV, so I don't see the news or anything. So if
I'm
God
hoping
forbid,
if there was a plane crash in
something
Chicago, you'd hear it.
Something happened. I'm like,
you live close enough to the airport, like you would know if there's a plane crash.
I just found out last week about Russia and Ukraine.
Well, you don't live near Russia and Ukraine, though.
I don't turn on the TV. I don't watch TV.
I apologize. So you started that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Look at just so you both know, you're both so adorable.
I love him. I think he's the best. The upside is he hit his beard with Justerman way before I did. I wish I had done it because I'd look as good as him had I done it 15 years ago.
Well,
he got it.
I was watching him do it in the parking lot so he could upstage you on the show.
Right. If I did it now, people are like, "Would you make out with a can of shoe polish?" I missed that.
Oh, that's too funny.
You just got a joke because you're just jealous, you guys.
You know what? That was actually a quick thing that turned out that ended up being a very great segment. But the real question I did want to ask, it's been an amazing year. It's been an amazing time in the Royal Arch since I've known you. As quick as time is approaching, Grand Chapter's coming up. That spot on the sidelines is there. You've done a lot. We've had a lot of fun. What's that one thing you left that's going to haunt you that you didn't do?
Don't bring me into it.
I got 3 more months left.
You get it all done?
I don't know. I'm hoping. You know, it's not all on me. I've got a team. I've got a great team. I can't do everything. I know there are a couple of members of my team that are a little overloaded because of what they do and what their jobs are. And we've tried to shift some of that. I don't, you know, there's things I'm very thankful for. There's things that I wish that were done already. And there's things that we're still working on that we could definitely potentially get out prior to July. So I don't think I'm ready to answer that question. Even if I were to end today, if I were to stop today and my year ended tomorrow, I would still be happy with what we've accomplished. My goal is to take the keys to the Grand Chapter, do a little bit, and then hand them off to the next guy in a better condition than what I was given. Not perfect, not completely righted, not completely corrected, but I ticked it those couple of degrees and then hand those keys off to Charles, my deputy, in a better condition. We kept the lights on. We dealt with some big issues. We dealt with some small issues. We're doing great for the charity. We've got the new education program that Kevin Wheeler wrote for us that is now out and live and free to all the companions in the state of Illinois. Isaac Orr wrote us a great intender program that'll be available for all the chapters at no cost. This is what your per capita pays for, you know. It's at the printers. Once that gets from the printers, again, Isaac was finished, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks ago, give or take, between editing. I know, Will, you were involved with editing that. Your committee was involved with editing that. But then it's just backlogged at the printers, right? We also are short of ritual books. So we have to put the ritual books first because we're bringing all these new companions, 46, 45 at the Elmhurst Day. We need to get them ritual books to get them, you know, acclimated and get them involved. And Kevin's education program includes questions and stuff from that ritual book to make them look at it. But unfortunately, we ordered 300 and we just got 50 the other day. We ordered them months ago. So there's a lot of supply and demand and those kind of things. But at this point, I've got, you know, I have a great officer corps. I have a great support staff. There are definitely people that aren't happy with some of the things I've done, but you know, who
you're never going to please everybody.
If you die without enemies,
I mean, I invite you back on the show. You're never pleased with the things we do here.
If you die without enemies, you didn't really live.
Yep.
Right. And as long as everybody knows what I have done, in my opinion, is for the betterment of the Grand Chapter, that's all I can do, guys. I mean, that's it. And I don't rule by edict. I don't rule by hammer. You know, I'm there, of course, if a tie needs to be broken or something goes really askew, that's where I play that and flex, as you said, that Grand High Priest muscle. But in reality, I reach out. You guys know. You guys are all invited to my meetings, and not Will, because you don't get, you know. But I mean, the appointed elected officer. You know, you guys are there. You hear me. I'm not. When it becomes a tie or something, I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. And you do that. But again, Charles and Ryan are really bought into that, and we work very well together, especially with the change in the officer corps that we unfortunately had recently, and you know, whatever.
Well, I like how you said that you hand the keys off in better condition.
Yes.
Instead of just handing them off how you found them or issuing new keys.
Nope,
it's the same one, just hopefully in better condition.
Just a smidge,
when
right?
you found them.
Again, it's a cruise ship, right?
I appreciate that. That's
it's got to be
really
better.
Because everybody wants to do something bigger, better, and hand off something new and fabulous to the next guy.
No.
But handing off the same keys that you received, maybe not with that same old dirt, but just something
a little bit of
better.
patina off.
Yeah, no.
Yep, and then pass it. And then if you take that attitude moving forward, all you're going to do is improve and correct that ship and right that ship. That's why long-term plans, I don't care if we're talking about a state organization. That's in my East Coast accent, organization, where I park my car.
We hear it a couple times. We just let it
every
go.
once in a while. But whether it's a local chapter, council, commandery, or lodge, or a state-run Grand Lodge, Grand Chapter, Grand Council, Grand Commandery, if you take that attitude of, I'm going to do my bit to clean this off, to move it just a little bit, work with the guy behind me, and hopefully the guy behind him, just those three, right? You don't have to work with everybody. Just those three guys get a hold. pass that off. And if everybody did that, local, state, chapter, council, commandery, lodge, you're going to be riding that ship, working together and not reinventing something every time you sit in the East. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Well, with that, it's going to come to the end of our show, and this shout out and shots out. So, Will, Marty, I know you guys had a couple. If you have one, we'll save the best for last. So.
What do we do?
Just watch us and follow.
Okay.
So I'd like to make my shout out to the Grand Master of Colorado. He just released a Grand Master's address today, and in my opinion, took one of the most progressive stances I've ever seen a Grand Master take. Put all of his lodges in the state of Colorado on notice to tell them to stop reading the bills, stop reading minutes, stop doing boring business, and start doing education. So here's to you, Grand Master.
Nice. Marty?
I'd like to look at our new producer / sideline commentator and let the whole world know that a few days ago, a lot of us were together at a mini golf course having a couple libations, and he got one of the most beautiful women in the world to agree to marry him. And we love you and we love Cass, Eric.
Eric, you got something to say about that?
My shout out would be to Pat Robin.
It probably should be your new fiance.
Oh, to her?
Yeah, I'll cut that out.
That's the most excellent advice.
It's to Pat Robin. Because he's wicked cool.
He's wicked cool.
He's wicked cool.
No,
I tried to give advice.
I love my fiance. I love her dearly, and she knows I love her and support her. But we're here for Masonry.
But we all love Pat.
We all love Pat. And he's going to sell me something in the parking lot for like $20.
I got nothing. I actually didn't bring
Well, we don't know what he's selling you. All right. Pat, you got
It's a lapel
someone to give a
pin.
shout out to?
I do. I actually want to give a shout out to the past Grand High Priest and the future Grand High Priest, as well as the future presiding officers, that hopefully you learn from what I did, what I didn't do, what should be done, and what shouldn't be done.
There you go.
Love all
Bring it in, guys. Come on.
Oh, clinky, clinky.
Clink, 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 clink. All right.
What the hell is this? Smells like.
Don't make me laugh when I'm about to drink, and I'm going to spit everything all over the place.
That was funny.
Yeah, I almost,
I
almost launched it all over you.
It tastes better than it smells.
It did.
That's a different conversation. We should
But
probably
it's
do on
but
camera.
it's
That was,
delicious.
oddly enough, that was the slogan for Pat's Year is Most Excellent.
Wow! Coming from this guy, he's not an officer because you're going to be this tall to be elected.
You know what? We can't all be shaped like Masons used to be, like I am.
Not yet. You'll be a motorcore medium eventually.
Well,
I guess by that ruling, if you ever want to keep Will out of the elected line, just hold a grand chapter at Six Flags.
You know what? All you old always make fun of the little guy, but the minute you drop something and your bad back and knees can't pick it up, you look for this guy going, hey, can you pick that up for me, brother? I'm like, yeah, I got you. Here you go.
I'm at that level yet.
Where were you?
hey, can
when
you
I
pick
needed-
that up?
No.
Where were you when I needed to get up off my knee?
Dealing with a kidney stone.
You know, you joke. Oh, are we done?
Yeah, we're done. Pat, I just want to say,
That was part of this? Oh, man. We were going to talk about the charities. We didn't talk about the charities.
no, we didn't get to that. And, hey, charities are great.
That's
They're
the important part.
better. So.
We were talking about the
Well,
Society of Roble and the Grand Council College.
well, you can come back next recording and talk
Yeah,
about all
I'll be, I get 5 minutes to get another drink. Sit back here. Right, Adam, you mind?
we got another 2-week recording coming up in a couple minutes. So, all right. Well, Pat, thank you for coming on, and thank you for serving as Grand Excellent High Priest.
Most excellent Grand High Priest.
Yeah, whatever. So,
Anybody else
really-
I wouldn't give a
wow.
shit about.
Man, the
But
grand,
for you,
or,
I
the,
mean,
the grand
you,
orator
You
here
watch
finally
my
got a
house
chance to
and go through
introduce
my
you.
wife's underwear drawer when we're not around. You could at least get my title right.
why?
All right, with that said, we're the Refreshment Masonic video podcast.
All right. I was trying to leave that on a good note, but
Don't
just
forget to
stay
like
here.
and subscribe and lock your underwear drawer.
All right, everyone, we're on Facebook, Instagram, I think Twitter still. I don't know. Yeah, we're on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play. Hopefully you can hear me. All right, everyone, have a good night, and thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Phone home, not a minute. Pistol in my hand, thinking I was going home. So I came up with a plan. My circle is a square, stacks across the dresser, no reflection in the mirror.